Welcome to the Stars in the Making with the mission to inspire and frame the future. The star is Daniel, born and raised in Uganda, Kampala. Is the founder of Sobi Community Development Organization committed to provide education and economic empowerment to children and women in undeserved rural communities in Uganda. Daniel's early years were defined by hardship and loss, losing both parents, father at the age of 8 and mother at the age of 12, leaving him as an orphan, raised by his uncle and later on by his grandmother, who struggled to make ends meet while caring for numerous grandchildren. Against all odds, the Subi founder completed his high school education and college degree, today getting his master's in system engineering at Harvard University. His journey from hardship to achievement inspired him to uplift others through Subi, recognizing that his story reflects the experience of countless young people across Africa. The founder emphasizes to every young African in diaspora to invest in the motherland. Africa is the next big thing. We need more young leaders, not donations. On this episode, the founder goes into details how one can go from adversity to advocacy, the power of a human spirit. Please welcome the star.
Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Daniel Sebugwawo. I'm from Uganda. We're currently living here in the United States, here in Massachusetts.
Awesome.
I was born in Uganda in 1989. It was a volatile period of time for my country. We had just gone through a civil war that saw the current president come in power. And right after that, there was a surge of HIV and AIDS. So the country was really ravaged by a lot of problems. And I was born in that period of time. And those problems kind of also defined a little bit of my early life as a child. Because there was a lot of poverty because the economy was recovering from the war. And then the surge of HIV and AIDS, a lot of people died. Poverty was like spread throughout the country, and I tested a bit of that. And then later on, my parents passed away. My dad actually died when I was 8, and my mom died when I was 12, and they both died with HIV and AIDS. So I grew up as an orphan. So that's how like the impact of these things came and took a little bit of my life's journey along with the problems.
Right.
And then I lived with my grandmother right after. I lived with my uncle a little bit, but then later on I started staying with my grandmother.
Losing your parents at a young age,
Yeah.
how that really impacted you?
It impacted me a lot. As a child, you miss to have that mother-father love. But a lot of people can love you, but they cannot love you the same way your parent can love you.
Most definitely.
And that has a lot to do with how a child grows up and how they perceive the world and a lot of things they learn along the way. So for me, it impacted me a lot because staying with my uncle, it was a little bit problematic. And that's why I ended up living with my grandmother.
Right.
But my grandmother loved us, cared for us. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a stable income, but somehow managed to take care of over a dozen grandchildren in her household.
Grandmother love.
Grandmother love.
Right.
Yeah. And when I reflect on that journey and a lot of pain that I went through, poverty brings a lot of pain. I don't know if people who have not experienced poverty can understand that.
Right.
But brings a lot of grief, anger, and pain. And it can lead you to a road of self-destruction, or it can lead you to a road of realizing how bad this is and try to help and make a difference in that area. And for me, I don't know if I'm lucky or it was God's grace, but I ended up on the other side where I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to change something about the punishing pain of poverty. Because when you listen to my story, it's not just my story. It's a story of so many young people in Africa
That's
who
true.
have been raised by single mothers, grandmothers, because of conflict, civil wars that have ended up taking the lives of their parents, or pandemics like epidemics like HIV and AIDS and other diseases that have claimed the lives of their parents, and they end up on the clutches of support from people, relatives, and people around them. And
That's so true, man. Just your story, really, as you said again, and many other kids
Yeah.
that they're gonna see themselves into your story.
yeah.
And that's why I was like, man, I really want to tell this story. Daniel's story is really powerful.
Yeah.
And despite all those difficulties that you went through, like losing your parents at a very young age, you still managed to go to school.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Initially, it was difficult with my grandmother. I remember I skipped school several times because they kept sending me away. I didn't pay the tuition and everything. And my grandmother and my uncle put a little bit together to keep pushing me, but at some point, it was not working. And I remember I got support from an organization, a Christian organization from America. They got me a sponsor and then started paying for my school fees.
Wow, love that.
And that's how I was able to complete high school. And then for university, I paid for myself. Going through all these,
You managed to pay your college
yeah,
tuition.
I paid for my bachelor's degree
Wow.
in Uganda. And it was way after, because when I finished high school, I had to figure out life immediately. 'Cause
Yeah.
when you grow up in poverty,
Right.
you grow up fast. You get responsibilities to start figuring out your own path to being a man and to figure out the rest of the things in your life, because you're not going to be a burden to your family and friends and relatives. So I paid for myself through university. I did a bachelor's in international relations and diplomacy at Cavendish University in Uganda, and that pushed
Shout
me.
out for the university.
Yeah. But I did this at the same time hustling and also pushing my little sisters, because I have
Right.
5 siblings.
5 siblings.
3
You're the
from-
oldest?
I'm the second born.
Second born.
Yeah, I have an
Oh.
older sister and
Oh.
2 young sisters. And then I also have a brother from my stepmother and a sister also from my stepmother. So I had to pay my own tuition and then hustle for my sisters.
Wow. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. So now I wanna go into your project.
Yeah.
You are a founder of the Subi project, is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness, man. Just looking up on Instagram,
Yeah.
on the page,
Yeah.
you're doing a great job. You're
Thank you.
doing a great job. Please talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, starting the Subi project, and the word Subi in my local language in Luganda means hope.
Hope.
Yeah. Like when you listen, when you hear my story, one thing I kept in my heart was hope. I had hope in getting an education, and I had hope that one day my life will turn around.
You are visualizing yourself
Yeah.
getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
Subi was an idea that I birthed out of my own life experience. The focus of Subi is to provide education and entrepreneurship skill, education to children in rural Uganda, and also entrepreneurship skills to women. Education is the reason why we focused on education is the reflection of my own story. I could not afford an education. It should be the basic thing anybody elsewhere in the world can afford. But there are people in Africa who cannot afford to get a basic education. So we provide education, not just an education, but a meaningful education that sets children on the path of viewing the world out of their own circumstances, like not focusing on what they are going through,
Right.
but focusing on what they can be able to become if they get an education. So that's the kind of education we are focusing on. And then entrepreneurship is a reflection of my grandmother.
I love that.
Yeah.
What they can become. Can you go again, please?
Yeah.
So
The education we provide is not just classroom based, but it's also to insert a perspective in children that their own circumstances don't have to define them, but they can project their lives if they get an education to do greater than what they see now. Most young people or children in Africa who are in rural Africa don't get a chance to have a perspective of how the world is so open and how many possibilities are there. Only the city ones, the ones in the city, get to have that opportunity. So
Exactly.
our focus is on the rural children,
right.
and our school focuses on educating them in class and outside class.
No, I love the videos, the video that you put out.
Yeah.
And you were really focusing on those that on rural areas.
Yeah.
Wow. And what is do you had any help into that, like through the government or things like that, to help you into the project in any way?
Not really the government, but I've been able to market my story.
Right.
And there are people who hear my story and they're like, I want to support you. I believe in what you're doing. I'll give something to do that. And basically, when I started this project, the only thing I invested in was the land where we've built a school.
Right.
The money that built the school came from friends in Germany, friends here in the US, who believe with the right amount of support, there are people who have the zeal, they have the hope, but they don't have the opportunity. And they believe that if they support us, we are going to give those people the opportunity to thrive. And we've got a lot of help. We still need a lot of help.
Right.
Because we don't want only to focus on children. We want to bridge the gap between primary education, high school education, and then what next? So there is a gap there. And I think in Africa, that's where most of our education system fails, to bridge the gap between awareness of in education and opportunity to use that education. So in the future, our goal as SUB is to start a technical school that trains young people to be innovative in technology, because Africa right now doesn't need charity, needs people who can innovate, people who can create things that solve social problems. Because literally, when you look around the world, countries that are rich are not countries that have a lot of resources.
That's true.
Minerals,
That's
gold.
very true.
And those that are actually having a lot of resources, they're trying to run away from depending on those resources to investing in their people. And I think there is a huge gap in Africa that we're not investing in our people to innovate. And
That's what I was about. What is that? What is the gap?
I think our leaders have different priorities. But when you think about it, like I just mentioned, here in the United States, I don't think America depends a lot on its oil or gold or whatever they dig from the ground. It depends on their people being able to innovate. Look at Elon Musk, and how much money he brings in the economy of the United States. Just one person. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Look at Bill Gates. Look at all these guys. And these guys thrived on an education system that bridged the gap between being educated and being able to use that education to create something that solves social problems.
Wow.
And I think...
And sorry for interrupting. Do you think, what is your idea? How can we help Africa in that sense, into young African leaders to bring hope in Africa in that sense?
First things first, I don't have hope in our government or political systems, to be honest. But young people in Africa have realized they have to take their place without the help of their government. There's a lot of young people innovating and creating things. And I'm so happy that they are awake and they are trying to see what else is going on in other countries, and they want to bring that to Africa. And I want to encourage or to urge Africans in the diaspora, especially here in the United States, in Europe, in Asia, to go back and invest in Africa. To go back, because I started my social venture, I never got a single coin from the government.
Of course.
But I've got money from people who invested in me.
You believe in your idea.
Believing in my ideas. And most of these are organizations here in the United States, organizations in Germany. But imagine if we Africans invested in young talent back home and not only wait for other people.
Just look at your camera and tell them again. I love that. I love that. Please. If Africans, that's your time.
I started my social venture, Subi Community Development Organization. We support children to get an education, a meaningful education, and a holistic education. Our goal is to bridge the gap between being educated and using the education to create opportunities or to innovate things to solve social problems. And we also work with women. We mentor them, train them, and extend a startup loan for them to start, manage, and grow small businesses. But all the money that I use in my social venture has been given to me by organizations in the United States or from Germany. And the reason why I'm urging young Africans who are in the diaspora to go back to Africa and invest in innovation, invest in young Africans that want to use their education to innovate. Africa right now does not need charity. I think we got it wrong from the get-go.
That's true.
With donations and aid. I don't think Africa needs aid. Africa needs innovators. Young Africans need an opportunity to innovate. And when you invest back home in things like technology or engineering or other things that create or solve social problems, you own your creation.
That's true. That's true. And that's what you were saying. It's so on point.
Yeah.
Because I think we need really young African leaders.
Yeah.
We need young African leaders. And I believe that I would say Africa in general, we have 54 countries, right?
Yeah.
54 countries, which is... There is too many countries out there. It's a lot.
And so many young people.
And it's so many young people, and I believe that our leaders are not really helping.
They're not yet there.
They are not really in there yet.
Yeah.
And it's just like the only thing I see on like internet, you can go on TikTok, whatever, Instagram. Yeah. The only thing they know how to do well is dancing.
Funny videos.
Yeah, funny videos. And it's like I do see. That's the main reason I actually started this creating leaders.
Yeah.
Because I want not just Africans, but I want to see more leaders, like young upcoming stars.
Yeah.
You know, to think big.
Yeah.
So I believe that what you really doing, what are you touching, it's so powerful. We need more people that instead of just dancing, do fun videos on TikTok and things like that, we should think more like.
And for your information, the algorithm of TikTok in China is different from the one in Uganda or in Africa.
In Africa.
The one in China, you see short videos of innovative things, people creating small things. Our algorithm is funny videos, dancing, and
more African.
But for your information, according to World Bank statistics, by 2030, Africa will have 40% of the global youth population. 40% of the entire global youth population will be from Africa.
Wow.
And right now, 70% of our population is under the age of 30. That's gold. That's human resource.
That's
capital.
That's true.
And China has realized that, and it invested in its young people. And India is also picking up on that. And India's economy is projected to grow really, really fast and big. In Africa, we need to pick up on that and invest in our people.
Right.
Because I believe when you look at countries like Japan,
Yeah.
Korea, and the United States, they are worried
Right.
because of the decline in childbirth.
Right.
So they look at their future and are worried because they will have less human capital to run the economy of these countries. And in Africa, we have this, and we're not investing in it.
Right.
So, but for years, you're talking about leadership, like you mentioned, for years, Africa has had a leadership crisis. And because of this, some external forces have come and took advantage of this. And they've taken away so much from us. But I have hope that Africa still has much to offer to the world. And that's the human capital of its young people. And
Right.
it's important that our governments realize that and invest in our young people.
I love that. So, oh man, this is so powerful.
Yeah.
And what is, if you had to give an advice
Yeah.
for young Africans
Yeah.
and also young people
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
what it would be?
Believe in yourself and be consistent, and don't let your circumstances right now
Right.
define the decisions you have to make.
Wow.
Think about your future and let that seed of what you want to be in the future define what your choices are. Because when you want to develop as a young person, you have to have a vision. You have to project your life.
I want this message is so powerful.
Yeah.
I want you to look in that camera because this message is very powerful. Please go again.
So,
Message for young
message for young Africans
and in general, young
in general.
people. Yeah.
Believe in yourself, first of all, and never ever let your current circumstances define the choices you make now. Have a vision of what you want your life to be in the next 5-10 years, and let that vision define the kind of choices you're making right now. I made a lot of mistakes when I became a leader. I remember I was working for an organization. I was from here in the US, and it was encouraging young people to fight HIV and AIDS. I worked with a lot of young people. I was on fire. And I made a lot of mistakes in terms of accountability, in terms of resource management, and I failed. The people I was working with twisted my story because I had made some mistakes, made up a few lies, and made everybody around me hate me and didn't want to work with me. But the most important thing, I knew what I wanted, and I had a projection of where my life wanted to be and what I wanted.
Yeah.
Because when I failed, I don't know if I can describe it, but I failed flat. I don't know if anybody has ever has ever experienced a circumstance in their life when you fail flat. Everybody around you leaves you, your friends, everybody around you gives up on you, and you don't have anything left. But the difference between me and anybody out there who experience challenges is how do you get out of that? And how do you learn from that? And the most important part of how you get out of it and how you learn from it is what is in your head and what you're projecting in the future about your life. And that's what helped me. And as young leaders, I want to encourage you, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but how do you learn from your mistakes? And how do you project your life in the future? Because when you look here and you fail to look there, it's very difficult.
If people want to help the project,
Yeah.
how they can come across, what they need to do.
Yeah, we have a website and we have a big social media presence. Subi Community Development Organization. You can just Google it. You can go on our website www.subicommunity.org. You can find us there and you can contact us. Some of these emails come direct to me, so I can always be there to respond. And the phone numbers on that website are also very accessible to me. But I also, just like I mentioned, if you believe in Africa, I want you to invest in Africa. I don't care if you're not from Africa, or you're from Africa, or you're a diaspora in Africa. Now, you're from Africa and you live in the United States or Europe, please go back and invest in innovation in Africa.
Wow, this is powerful.
Yeah.
This is really, really powerful, man. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ricardo, for having me.
Being with us as the Stars in the Making. And just to end, are you here in between U.S. and Uganda, or how is it?
Yeah, I'm in between the U.S. and Uganda. I built a team back home in Uganda that runs the project.
Oh, wow.
We have a few challenges, but we keep moving forward regardless. I go back in Uganda once in a while to get direction and to plan for things. But I'm mainly based here in the United States because I'm studying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm studying here. I'm doing my master's in systems engineering at the Harvard Extension School.
Wow. I'm proud of you. We're all proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So when your master's you're gonna get it done?
And it's a self-paced program. Yeah, I have 5 years to get it done.
Yeah.
I can choose to get done in a year.
Of course, you have time. Yeah, it's all up to you. You're a leader. You have so much going on, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
Man, again, I'm so proud of you, and we definitely gonna do the best of it, of this story.
Thank you so
We're
much.
gonna
I
spread the
appreciate
word and go from there. So do you have anything else to add on that, or we're good to go?
I want to say it again. If you're a younger African living in the United States or Europe or Asia, go back and invest in innovation in Africa. Africa is the future, and Africa is the next big thing.
That's it.
Thank you.
Africa is the next big thing. That's it. Thank you, man.
Thank you for having me.
Again, I'm proud of you.
Thank
you so much for being the Stars in the Making.
Again, thank you.
All right. So, hey guys, we done. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, Daniel's story. Please, let's help this project. I think this is a project for not him, but he is working for everyone. You know, it's for all of us, especially Africans. Please, let's invest and let's help this project. As it starts in the making, we're gonna be the first, and I hope you are the next. Whoever see this podcast or whatever you see in it, please, let's invest in Africa and let's help. All right. Stars in the Making. My name is Ricardo, and we out.
Yeah.
Got it done.